Welcome back. It's Recovery Sort of, the podcast, where we explore the struggles of life, the challenges of mental health and recovery, and the spaces between. We express our personal views on life here, and this podcast is not meant to replace medical advice or tell anyone the right way to live. This podcast is best used as a place of curiosity and questioning to accompany you on your journey. Be aware there is strong language. Here we go. Obligations? Is that the topic we're talking about? Is it obligations, I guess? I don't know. I realizing lately, and this is weird because these are, for me at least, self-imposed obligations. Like, I'm totally cool and on board with I don't have to do shit for the most part. That's not totally true. I definitely feel like I got to go to work. At some level, some days I have to go to work. But, like, I'm noticing I'm trying to do all these things in my life, right? I have a full-time job, kind of, sort of. I own my own business now, so I'm trying to operate that. I'm trying to do some social media marketing, advertising, creating space of people I like and things I like and to say things I like outside of this space, and like doing this and trying to get clips for this and editing this and like couple other things. Be a good dad, be a good husband, don't let any of these things or work interfere with my home life, like all these grand ideas. Realized this week I'm like, not doing all of them well. And I don't feel good about me when I don't do all of them well, or when I do things that I don't do well, and I'm like dropping the ball in a lot of ways and feeling like I'm not keeping up, and like that feels like shit. And so like what I realized this week is I need a reevaluation of what matters and what balls I need to drop, because I ain't doing this, right? We said it earlier in other episodes, like write down them 6 things you want and then limit that list to 3, because I can only juggle 3 fucking balls, Billy.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. You were saying you had a similar feeling.
Yes, feeling the same way exactly this week. And I said that to my wife laying in bed. I'm like, why is my fucking week filled with things I don't want to do?
Yeah.
You know, why is my life all these obligations? And it's like one obligation to the next obligation to the next obligation. Mm-hmm. And none of them are things I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the tricky part there for me, like as a recovering person, what I think is addiction or whatever, is that there's that constant battle in my head of like, well, of course, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, which a lot of times is nothing. And in the past, that attitude hasn't always served me well. Now, maybe I have some new information that could help me do better with some of that, but there's always that scary, like, slippery slope idea that if I start down that path,
right,
am I going to cause more harm than good?
Here's the funny thing that I've realized, for me at least, is that similar. I've been called lazy my whole life. I don't want to do anything, this, that, and the other. Billy, I don't fucking stop. I have this concept that I'm a lazy guy, and I do so much. Like when I stop and step back and look at my life, and if you do this, holy shit, because you do way more than I do. You do so much. It's crazy how fucking productive we are. And like, yes, when I did nothing, and still today, when I do nothing on some days, it feels like shit. And I think 98% of that is because I was told that I was doing nothing and it's bad, honestly, because nobody told me I needed time for my body to rest. Nobody told me that it was important to have time for leisure and connection with my humans in the world, and with my, with nature itself, and like all these things feed my soul and feel important. So like when I give myself these things, my body feels better. Right, my weekends have been very, very not anything on them for, I don't know, 3-4 months now. Like I've just refused. I'm not planning shit. I'm going to do what we feel like doing. We're going to tend to our house and our things and each other. And like, I don't know. I still get that thought though, that brain thing that says you're not doing anything, you're not getting anything done. And it's like I have to actively counter that and be like, my body is sore. It needs rest. I go all week.
Yeah. And well, the tricky part for me right now, where I'm trying to watch is because I have this obsessive nature, is that I am in the middle of this project working on it in my bathroom. And Jen was laughing at me the other day. So it's been slow at work. And my work's only like 5 minutes from my house. So I go home on my lunch break and I'll work on the bathroom project through like the hour of my lunch break and then go back to work.
That's great.
And she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Are you coming home on your break to work on the house stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "It's boring at work. I just fucking sit there because we're slow. It's like our off time right now. So it's like I'm sitting there. I go in the morning. I do my half hour to an hour's worth of paperwork and email and catch up on what I got to do. And then I sit there for fucking 2 hours and hope that no problems come up. And I try to find things to do. I mean, I try to be productive there, but
why don't you just work from home one day a week and tackle that shit and deal with problems at work while it's slow? Or 2 days a week, or fucking 3, bro. You run the company. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, that's, I mean, part of the issue is I do, like, and that's what people ask, like, what do I do at work? I'm like, I handle problems when they come up.
That's your job.
But I need to be there when they come up.
No, you don't. They're all by phone and computer. You don't need to be there.
But, and I have actually done, like, I'm going to take a day off here, a day off there and work at home. But that's the thing. Like, now that's what I want to do is work on my home project and nothing else. Yeah.
But there's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with that. So we've gotten this message that we're obsessive people, right? Obsessive in nature. And what I want us to think of that as is picture a number line, 0 to 100, just like you're in pre-K, right? 40, you get out of bed. We wake up at 42 every day, and we're looking for relief from that yucky ass feeling. That's what we call obsession. We're trying to find relief from how shitty we feel living the life we're living currently because it's awful and miserable, and our society does not provide what it takes for humans and human life to feel good. It champions things that does not feel good, which is chasing money, chasing things, chasing belongings. None of this shit is really all that rewarding for us, except for the story we've told ourselves that we need to do it, right? And so it's like, we don't have any of that information going on, and then we just judge ourselves and call it obsession. But when we can see what we're doing, okay, every time I eat that ice cream, pick up my phone and scroll social media, buy something, gamble, any of these things, think about sex, whatever, distract myself with a TV show, I'm escaping. I'm giving myself a little hit of feeling not as bad as I am. But I'm also not putting in any time to make it feel better. It's like blank time that I'm just avoiding the yuck instead of time that I'm spent investing in me and my life and creating it and making it feel plus 10 overall by the next week. You know what I mean? Where I wake up at a 52 and now I don't need to seek those behaviors that I called obsessive, or I don't have quite as much intensity behind my obsession because I'm not in so much pain. I don't need the relief as badly. I can make better choices. You know what I mean? So it's like when we look at it from a judgmental place of, oh, I'm just an obsessive person. I got to look out for myself. I can't got to see me coming. But when we understand we're in pain, and the better we can relieve that pain through positive things, connection, hugs, warm teas, moments of quiet and stillness outside. Like I've been spending a lot of time just sitting on my porch, digging up my fucking yard for different things. Like it feels good. It feels good to like be taking care of me and what I want. And I don't think you're, don't get me wrong. The twisted part about the bathroom and fixing the bathroom, I think it's beautiful because there's a very healthy part of you that wants to tend to your environment and make it the most comfortable for all your family members and yourself. That's the beautiful part. And I think the pain relief part that we seek is it's got to be done now. Or sooner.
So, I mean, at least for me, like the tricky part, and this is what I get into with, my wife all the time. It's like some of these projects, like when you're getting into something like, say, running the electric or running the plumbing, like it's very hard to like just start and stop on a timeline. It's so much easier to like, I need to get all of this done because to get halfway and then have to pick everything up and clean it all up and put shit away and then come back 3 days later and try to remember like, what exactly were we doing here? Where was I? And what was, like that shit is annoying. It's very annoying to have all my stuff and be going and have to stop, and so some of it's that. Some of it's that once, I just need to get this A to B, and then once I'm at B, I can take a break, and then B to C, and then I can take a break.
Billy, we've been hanging out for like 5 years, and you've done a shit ton of projects on your house. And never once have you said, hey, man, in like 3 weeks, I really want to get all this wire knocked out. I could use a hand. It would make it go so much quicker. Why don't you come over for a couple hours?
Yeah.
You don't ever mention that. I've always kind of waited.
So it's interesting. And that was in our previous episode. I was thinking of some of that. It's like not having the ability to act. Like I have other people too that do that, know that kind of stuff and do work. And people have even said, hey, I'll give you a hand sometime. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah, man. I mean, but okay. So if that's the way you want to do it, like what stops you from being able to plan out that that's the most important thing to you this week or this weekend, or like, why do all these other have-tos get in the way of that? Or, you were talking about the one with the sponsee and we talked about it on the previous episode, and like, just thinking about that. Yes, you committed to the sponsee one first, so you missed out on the wedding tasting that came and got planned after that. And yet, I know for me, there is absolutely things that could come up after I had said yes to that sponsee event, that celebration, that would make me not be able to be there. Right. Critical emergencies, whatever. There's definitely circumstances that would make me able to say no. So that tells me I'm the one setting the line. And then I get to pick where the fuck I want to put it.
Yeah. Well, and in that case, it was like, there is a thing where it's like, how would I feel if my sponsor wasn't at my anniversary? And even if they had a good excuse, it still doesn't feel good to me if they weren't there.
How would you feel if your sponsor wasn't at your anniversary that you didn't talk to for 11 months and then texted a month before your anniversary and then they said they couldn't make it? Like, I don't know. I'd be pretty understanding. I'd be like, I didn't fucking do nothing. Sure. I get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, they're all, the lines are all lines that I make up. Nobody puts them on me. But there's always trying to balance out between like, when can I begin to trust my own judgment versus when
you understand
self-serving?
Well, when you understand that everything you're thinking ain't your judgment, that's when you can start to trust your own judgment. When you know that not every thought that goes through your head is Billy, and that some of them are these other parts, like the part that your caregivers and society gave you that's going to make you keep questioning if you're doing enough, because it doesn't, it always says people are looking at you and they're judging you, and you got to do this so it doesn't look like that, and got to do this so they don't think this and all that. Like, that's the part you're arguing against. So that's the part we got to find a way to separate that from who Billy is.
Yeah, but even so, like my weeknights aren't like, I don't. Last week I did, but like most weeks, I go home and chill at home and watch TV after work, and like that feels very fucking unfulfilling.
Yeah, I don't think TV's fulfilling at all, honestly. I don't think any of the stuff we do that takes us away from what's right here in front of where our feet is actually going to feel fulfilling, personally. Yeah,
well, I just mean like at least it feels to me sometimes, and again, this is the battle, right? I feel like I feel better about myself and my life and who I am. Like if I go home and be like, oh, I got like 3 hours, I can go fucking do some shit in the yard, or maybe go out and clean up and have a campfire and, whatever.
That's
like
awesome.
Doing something like that versus like, I'm going to go sit inside with Jen and the kids and watch TV or do nothing. You know?
No, I don't.
Like
I don't.
That feels...
I wouldn't want to sit in my house and watch TV all the time. I'm saying every once in a while we watch a movie, sure, that's great, whatever. But like, I don't feel like it's connecting, and I actively. So the way our house is, and the flux of kids in and out of the rooms all the time, like, and the modern technology, my older kids are almost always on video calls, wandering around the house into the room where you can hear the conversation. They're talking, their person on the phone's talking, or they're watching something on a tablet and that's talking, and I hate all that shit, and I actively tell everybody that like that's not gonna happen while I'm sitting in the room. Like,
oh, see, mine are the other way. They all sit there with headphones on, so there's 3 people in the room with headphones on that are listening to a thing, right?
Yeah.
And
so I don't know. I'm gonna do what feels right. Like, and I'm gonna invite my family if they're young enough. I'm gonna make them strong invitation, but like, the older ones, hey, I want to do this. Like, this is connecting. Why don't you come out and connect with me?
And it is interesting. I'll see our kids. So they do, I don't know, I guess it's as connecting through television or movies as you can, is like they'll have some friends over and they'll all sit in there. But then they're all like commenting and talking to each other throughout the show, almost like the old fucking,
Mystery Science Theater
Yeah.
3000.
Yeah, and they'll do shit like that. And that's always like, it's interesting to sit in another room and watch the kids, like, I'll call it bond like that. Like, I think, because I didn't have like healthy-ish relationships as a teenager. It was all based around using and getting high and partying and trying to fuck somebody, and like that was the whole gist of my existence.
Yeah, it makes sense, teenager.
Right, but they don't do that. My kids are like, dude, what I guess is healthier things. I hope they're healthier anyway. And so they'll have like kids over and they'll play, these weird games together, or they'll like watch weird old movies and then like talk about the movie the whole time they're watching it and make fun of things, and
That's funny.
it's interesting to see.
Does your daughter have lambs?
Goats.
Are they baby goats?
She has baby goats. Yep.
Okay, I think I saw her at Tractor Supply yesterday with her baby goats.
Oh, probably.
And
She works there.
It didn't click until I got outside.
So she works there now
Okay.
at Tractor Supply, and yes, she has 3 baby goats,
she
and then
stopped in
her
with them in a
friend
grocery
has
cart.
3 baby
They were
goats.
adorable. Yeah. Oh, no, it was great.
Yeah, she was probably in there showing them off to her coworkers.
She was.
So, yeah.
That's funny. It all clicked when I got in the car. I was like, damn it, I should have said hi.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Shit, where were we?
I'm talking about kids.
The kids. Yeah, I see some of that. So I witnessing my teenagers do some of that. Some of it I'm like, okay, this is like the modern version of connecting when it looks a little more interactive like that. And then there's quite a bit of time I watch them sit in a room and they just stare at their devices and don't talk to each other.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
And
there's plenty of that.
and maybe
too.
they're doing some online connecting. Who knows, right? I try not to figure all that out, but I'm realizing for me, Billy, like nothing else really feels all that good. And like that's all the shit that I've taken out of my life is the senseless running around and doing errands and all that shit. And it's just like what feels good is to be around the house. And that's my plan every weekend is how little can we have on our calendar and like what's a few things we want to get done. Let's not pressure ourselves. Let's go leisurely. Maybe we'll clean out a room. Maybe we'll do some yard work. And it's felt wonderful.
And I think that's a struggle, though, in my marriage, in my relationship, is that Jen is way more that, and I'm not. Like, she's way more into, I worked, I just want to go home, I don't want to really do much, I'm going to just chill and do nothing and watch TV. And I'm like, that's fucking boring. Like, I don't necessarily want to do that, and then I feel bad. Just leaving her to do nothing and me wanting to do a bunch of things.
So, and this, I'm not trying to solve your problem here or anything, but like just that the first foundational thing that came up to me was, why can't you do yours one night, hers the next? Like, why wouldn't that be a compromise? Because I feel like that's what we're all needing to go for is this compromise. Like, no, we can't just have everything we want in life. We got to work towards it. And I'm trying to earn my relationship every day and appreciate my partner. And like, this is where I'm willing to bend a little, and these are the places I can't really bend much. What can we do with that? Like, what are your places? I don't know that it has to be all one or the other. I don't know. You were talking about having the 3 hours. I thought you were going to say, like, why not do more of this bathroom work or whatever? But, like, I guess what are the other – maybe there's some missing productivity pieces in your plan, right? Like, you're really great at – productivity, getting the finances knocked out, making the money, going to work every day, right? You're fucking amazing at that. And like home repair and home upkeep and upgrade, you're phenomenal at like doing all those things and making them look great. What about other areas? Like how much time a week do you spend for Billy's rest time to give his body time to just recuperate, whether that's a massage, a float, a gentle meditation, grounding in your backyard, laying in the grass, like how much time do you devote to Billy's, I don't know if you want to call it like spiritual or self-care well-being, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's time, maybe that's spent in meditation in your backyard like you were talking about around the fire, or maybe that's you want to, whether it's step work or you want to do some kind of therapy workbook to like get to know yourself better and become more familiar with you. Like there's some areas of time you don't invest that are Billy focused that like maybe that's the place where we could go with that and just start investing time there and seeing what does feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like most things, there's a balance there that I'm not striking, and yet, and this is what I'm trying to be aware of. It's like, and the obsession part comes in. It's like I feel like all I want to do is be left alone so that I can work on this bathroom stuff.
Yes.
But then when I'm doing that, that doesn't necessarily feel good because now I feel disconnected from my family and my wife. I feel disconnected from my friends. I feel like I don't have any life because,
Right.
and
Right.
like,
Right.
but all I want to do is fix this
Kim's
bathroom,
laughing right now
you know?
listening to this, I can tell you. I have this. I wake up early, well before my family, and I start getting into shit. And then when they start coming out, I'm fucking frustrated. I'm like, God damn it, I was going to get more shit done. And she has, been on the other end of the receiving that at points. And like, yeah, my brain left unattended to and unmonitored has the narrative and the story of what's next, and I don't even get to enjoy the thing I'm doing right now. And I've noticed this a lot. It happens when I'm eating. I start choking on food because I'm not chewing it enough, and I start getting heartburn because I'm swallowing these gigantic pieces, and my mouth is so full of food I can't even respond to people that ask me questions. And it's all because I'm thinking about the next thing I got to do when I get done, and I'm just trying to get done the fucking food so I can get there.
What's interesting for me, I think one of the reasons I like, and sports will do this for me too when I'm playing any kind of sports or when I'm working. Like one of the things that happens, I think that makes that so like addictive is that when I'm hyper focused on that one thing, I'm not thinking about anything else. And it is almost like a form of meditation. It's like I'm so locked into this one thing that I don't have to worry about relationships and bills and all this other shit.
So I don't know what the experience is like for different people. My locked in like that, at least the way I look at it now, feels a lot like reading a book. Feels a lot like being lost in a TV show or a movie. Like it's an escape to me. I think it's that relief of not feeling the pain in that moment because I'm so concentrating on something else, but not really the relief or the pleasure of being in the moment itself. I had this weird thing happen recently. I was shaving or trimming up my beard, and I had the electric or the battery trimmers going, and they're buzzing real loud. And I noticed it was the only thing I heard. And it reminded me of like I've seen movie scenes like this, like right before somebody wants to hang themselves or something. They're like shaving their head, like maybe Private Pile in the movie, and it's everything's quiet, and like the soundtrack of the movie is just the buzzing clippers, and it like emphasizes something. I don't know, the loneliness, the whatever. And I got nervous when when it happened. I was like, "Oh fuck, am I depressed? Is this bad? Like, am I gonna hurt myself?" And what I realized, because I've had it happen with some other things, some birds chirping and other moments, this is me just being quiet and listening. And there's nothing except the buzzing trimmers, and I'm totally here, just doing what I'm doing, being present. I'm like feeling my body more, and so I've been trying to actively do that a lot more, like listen for these other parts of me, like what's the stillness part of Jason have to say right now? I know the get shit done part. He's got a fucking narrative and he's always going, right? I know his. Let me not listen for him, though, for a few minutes. Let me listen for still and quiet Jason on my porch and the birds and shit for a couple minutes and feel my toes. And Billy, I got to be honest, even on a daily basis, when this is what I'm trying to practice, I fucking forget it constantly. And I go back into just operating on fucking autopilot all the time. And I'm not trying to champion this. I'm not saying this is how it works for everybody or this is good for everybody, but the fucking weed. I walk outside on my porch. I sit down. I hit it. My breathing changes because I'm hitting a fucking joint. So I'm breathing it a little differently, right? And in that fucking instant, every time I remember there's more to life than just getting shit done and that I need to slow down. And I need to take moments of stillness and silence. And it's like, I hate to give weed credit for that, but fucking right, it happens like 3 or 4 times a day. And I'm just like, this is what I need, is to slow down more. I need to rest more. I need to like just be here and enjoy my life and not just be getting shit done all the time. And I cannot seem to remember that well, but I'm getting better.
Yeah. And I guess the difference for me, I don't think it's, and I'd have to look at this a little more. I don't know if it's necessarily about getting shit done as much as it's just doing all the time. And I think the difference is that, like, I I'm not concerned at all with being like productive per se. I just don't like to be bored. And I think that comes from like I don't like to sit still in my present very much. You know?
No. I keep telling my kids to explore the boredom. Like boredom,
Yeah.
I truly think being curious about what we define boredom as and what it means to us and our relationship with it, I think that's the fucking meaning of life.
Yeah. Well, they talk about, so that was a big part of my kids' school, that alternative school that they go to. So their dilemma in the last several years has been how like phones and the internet and all that has changed what boredom was and how it worked within their whole educational model, because boredom was a part of the learning process, when kids, because in their school, kids don't have to do anything. You can come there and you can lay on the couch and you can do nothing all day. And they said people would do that for days and weeks and sometimes months. And eventually they'd be like, well, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, get up and do something then if you're bored. And then, that would trigger their own internal motivation to do stuff. I think for me, and I'm trying to think through this as we're talking about it, I think it more has to do with, so we had to put our dog down last week, and it was interesting to see how like the avoidant part of me comes out in all that. It's like we're dealing with this dog thing, and like my like avoidant tendencies are like, all right, everybody go to your own safe corner and figure out how you feel about this. It's not like get together and like huddle together and hold each other and all that. It's like, I'm going to go over here and take care of me. You go take care of you, and we'll meet back when we're ready to talk about it.
Gotcha.
And that is also, I think, how I feel about like some of these projects and things that I work on. Is that's my avoidant place. Maybe that's why I don't ask for help, or why I do a lot of things alone, is because then I'm there, I'm in control of everything. I don't have to answer to anybody or be involved with anybody, or
don't have to worry about looking bad.
Right,
don't
it's
know what you're
just
doing.
me doing for me. You're right, and all that, and that feels okay and safe, and whatever. And then when I'm outside of that, I have to deal with life and what do I think the expectations are and blah blah blah, and that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, but that's a lot of pressure when there's expectations and the part in our head that thinks other eyes are on us, which I'm not saying it's wrong. Other eyes are on us. People are judging us, but I don't know that it matters outside of that part in our head. You know what I mean?
Well, and the problem is, though, at least for me, I know about myself, is the more that I like isolate and get into those places, the safer that feels, and the more dangerous stepping out of that feels. And it's all internal shit in my head. I was joking with, Jen about issues at work, and it's like forever I have to deal with problems and problem customers and all that stuff. So like when I don't have to get yelled at by anybody for a while because nothing comes up, like then all of a sudden like, oh, Miss Jones is mad about this and you need to call her. I'm like, oh, I don't want to call her. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do it. And the tape starts playing how terrible it's going to go and all that stuff. But when I'm in the habit of making those calls right away, you just, oh yeah, no big deal, I can do it. And so that's what happens. Like I get into these places in these projects where it's like I can go isolate in my bathroom by myself for days on end and not have to be dealing with life. Like, that's my safe place.
I'm thinking of boredom as like, I mean, I talk all this stuff about what we got programmed for in our childhoods, right? And to me, I mean, haven't you met humans that are super fucking fascinating and you can't wait to ask them more questions to know more about them? Like I have. I've definitely met fascinating people, right? And if they're fascinating, maybe I am too, but like maybe my caregivers did not program an interest into me because they didn't have enough space to be interested in me, honestly. They were interested in making me be what they wanted me to be, which was like them. So they didn't really have any space to be interested in me and who I was. So I just kept trying to block out all the me and who I was, and then made me boring. I had to bland out all that shit that people were going to judge and criticize. So I'm boring, right? So I would say being bored by myself is literally, I've never been programmed with an interest in myself. And like, don't I want to sit with that boredom an hour a week and figure out what's so interesting about me? Because I'm interesting as fuck, Billy. I don't know about you. I got a lot of interesting quirks. I'm a weird motherfucker. Like, for real. I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess, yeah. I mean, I think I am too. And I have not, though, spent enough time looking at emotion. Like, I think I'm interesting in very intellectual ways. I like to research topics. I think I know a lot about things. I
Right.
like to really dig into like facts and things like that. But when it comes to like the emotional side, I'm not as strong.
You're super interesting. I sit here and talk to you. I've been talking to you for like 3-4 years now. Like, definitely interesting, bro.
Yeah.
Huh. It's so fascinating. We have these takes on ourselves.
Yeah. But it's weird. So what I notice is I feel like that in most areas except in my marriage. Like, I don't feel as confident. Like, I don't feel as comfortable talking about myself in my marriage as I do with other people outside of, that, which is a weird thing. I think I put weird expectations. Expectations isn't the right word. I put weird what I think my wife's expectations are of me in there, or what I think she wants out of me.
Right.
And that twists me all up.
Well, and this isn't, if I didn't know you or Jen or anybody, this is just the standard take on the situation you just described, would be you left your caregivers home who never could have any interest in you and the way you see the world, and then picked a person that felt familiar and comfortable in love, just like that version of love. And this person struggles to see you as a separate and different person with, themselves. And so now they're constantly trying to make you look the way they think you're supposed to look, and you don't like it. And like,
Right.
Yeah, that's yes, that's exactly what the fuck you picked.
Yeah.
That's crazy though.
It is. It's weird.
But then what do we do from there? Like, how do we help our partners who aren't bad people, who have loved us in a lot of ways when we've been terrible people, and we've loved them when they've been terrible people, right? Like, we haven't been doing well. Okay, we're here. Got it.
Right.
We're not doing that great at this marriage thing. Now fucking what? Now how can I help my partner see me as a separate person when I know for the last 18 years she has really struggled with that concept? How can I be soft and gentle and continuing to present this and kind and patient and waiting for her to get it? How can I keep saying, hey, when you say that thing, that doesn't feel like I'm getting hurt on the side over here when I'm saying this other thing, right? I'm not looking for you to fix the situation here. I'm talking about this other feeling I get when this pattern happens. Can I continue to keep doing that day after day until they can hear it? I hope.
Yeah.
Have you found that listening to the Recovery Sort Of podcast has helped you in your day-to-day journey? Please share the message of compassion and well-being with the loved ones in your life. Connect with us more at recoverysortof.com, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and other social media spaces. And have a great week.